What's up? Alright, we are drawing... Oh, what's up, Nubby? How you been? You got on here immediately. That's so sweet. We're gonna do some... I don't know, kind of whatever the hell we want to today. I was thinking about doing faces, maybe some hands, but if you have any requests, I'm down to do that too. I've got all the streams going. Hot. They are hot off the presses. I'm thinking about, we'll start with a face. I haven't done faces in a while. I've been doing these turkey drawings that I got from some time in Minnesota, and I'm trying to get them to like a super Henson Face is gonna help me. Okay, sweet. Let's do that. These guys were standing all in someone's yard, so I'm gonna put top hats on them and little bow ties and make them look like they're doing business meetings. But I need a break from those guys because also now it's time to like get down to it and get some really solid detail in there, and I don't want to spend the hours. Okay, so let's do some faces. First things first, we can do this classic setup, which everybody knows, and this is going to be my warm-up, but if we start with an oval, right? Right? Hey, that looks pretty good too. I got a new camera, Nubby. That's why I'm really watching to see if this thing can pick up my lighter tones of pencil. Isn't that awesome? So what you want to do is Chuck Masterson. What you want to do is you want to take this oval, right? And this is just going to be our boundary, our setup block. A lot of times, and what I messed up a lot in my face drawing ability, is I thought that this oval had to be like the entire face. It's not. It's sort of like the starting point, and then we're carving stuff out of it. So if you think of every drawing as starting with like a Tupperware container to put all your details in, you're like carving out spaces from that container and making the shape from that, right? So with this, we can start by throwing down a midline, so half is on top, half is on bottom, right? And then with this second half, we can throw in another half line of just this half, so now we made 2/4, and then we can throw in an additional line again in the bottom. And what this is going to do is it's basically going to set us up for our brow line, or maybe the top of our eye line, and then we're going to have a nose line and then a mouth line. Usually the middle of the lips hit right there, right? And I'm drawing this pretty small, but we'll get going and we'll get revved up. We'll start bouncing on some of these drawings in a little bit. But with this brow line, I'm thinking, you know, I need 2 eyes for sure, unless I'm drawing a mutant or a cyclops. So I'm going to throw down a middle line straight down the middle as well, and that's going to give me some symmetry. That's going to give me some Bangerade symmetry on there. And on top of that, what you can think about with faces, with anything, whenever you're drawing, if you can find an object on your drawing to use as a unit of measurement, you're like golden. You're halfway done with the drawing at that point. And with faces, it's always going to be the eyes. So if we can lock down an eye shape, or like an eye space, on this drawing, we can then use that as like perspective and proportions throughout the whole thing. So I'm just going to lay in some very random shapes or random ovals there to let my brain know where the eyes are about to be, right? But I'm not actually making them permanent yet. And what's really cool about the face is that it's 5 eye widths long, so we know that there's going to be 5 of these same shapes wide, right? And that also clues us in that there's going to be one single eye space in between these 2 eyes, and that's going to be the full size of the nose, right? Isn't that kind of fucking crazy? So, with that, with these 2 just like generic ovals that I drew, that are now probably going to be the eyes, I've set up a bunch of spaces, and now I know about how wide my nose is going to be. So we can even take that, and let's just start super simple. Let's just draw one big rectangle straight down in between those 2 eyes, right? And basically, what a nose is it's just a rectangle with little planes that stick out on the side, right? And then you have your nostrils here and whatever, and then that front part of the nose. And then you can just sort of shade and make it look right. But a nose is really just that sort of trapezoid shape on every single person, on every single face. So, whenever you're starting a face drawing, I like to just throw in that sort of big blocky trapezoid in between those two eyes, and it gives me more and more space and more information to get that drawing right. Okay, are we following? Are we all fine here? So now, as we're going, I'm going to finalize these eyes up a little bit. And now that I have that nose shape, the two eyes, I'm going to go down and throw down some lips. Screw it. Who cares? Let's just throw down a little indication of where I think the lips are going to be. And I'm thinking right there, baby, that looks fine. That's fine by me. It's very simple. We just have a big brick. We just have a big giant brick for a nose, two random eyes, and super simple lips. Like, that is as far as we're going. We're not doing anything crazy here, okay? We're not bouncing on it yet. We will be soon. We're not making it stank, for lack of a better term. But you're watching this, and all of this stuff is super simple, but the proportions are there and the perspective is there, so it's starting to look like a face, right? And now what I was saying earlier about carving stuff in, let's say this face is a little bit skinnier than usual, right? So instead of using this full oval, I can cut in about like right there, sort of close to the eye. And I'm going to take this chin down just a little bit past that mouth, same on the other side. And all of a sudden we have a much more realistic looking jawline and face, or like sides of the head, right? Because like the nose, the human head is just one big square, and that's where your face is, right? And then it has these two sides where your ears are that are going away from us perspectively. Okay? Are we all following this? Are we all loving this yet? So with that, we can start adding in even more detail, like the eyebrows. So I'm going to lay in just an indication of where I think these eyebrows are going to lay. And then guess what? All we have to do now, especially for cartoon faces, especially for illustration faces, the only last step is really focusing on the most necessary details possible. A lot of illustrations, you sometimes get caught in that weird middle ground of too realistic or too cartoony. With all of these little intro lines that we've done, all this sort of stuff that doesn't matter right now, let's think about what's the most important to convey what this face is going to look like. I'm thinking the bottom of the nose is usually always a good hit. Sent friendship, Peyton! Oh my god! You're here for a late night drawing stream? What are you, a loser? We're going over faces again. I have to get at least 15 or 20 minutes stream today, or else I miss my quota. And then the big boss upstairs starts hurting me physically. So what we're gonna do is we're thinking through all of the things that make a face a face. The nostrils are a huge one. The eyelids are a huge one. The eyebrows are a huge one, and the mouth is a huge one. But if you look at illustrations, lips really aren't there too often, unless you're drawing like a female character or someone that wears lipstick. You don't really need to use any sort of illustration to get the lips down, unless it like really needs it for the character. So just like a line, if you look at a lot of comic book characters or a lot of anime characters, it's sort of just the lines that are necessary. So I'm going to start with just the top lines of this eye, and then I'm going to throw in the iris or pupil or whatever. Usually with illustration, it's all sort of just one color, so it doesn't really matter what you call it. And then for the nose, guess what? Remember when I said you really only have to draw the bottom of it? I'm going to draw just like two little indications for nostrils. Oh my god, happy weekend. Dude! Peyton, how are you getting all of these? Oh, thank you for the roses, thank you for the roses. I wish I had my mirror here so you could see me do all my bows and dances when you gift me stuff. But essentially, I'm going to throw down just two little nostrils, and they're going to look wonky, but that's okay, because guess what? I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm just doing this for fun. And then we can just sort of flow through a random shape of nose. It doesn't need to be something crazy. I just want to show that point of the nose and the nostrils, right? And then we can just sort of draw in some indication for the bridge of the nose, right? And that's all you really need for like an illustration. I'll even throw up a little bit of shaping on that top of the nose. And then we can fudge up some shadows, just like random, very simple shapes. Like you see how I turned that nose into like just a little button nose? Like that's all you need. That's all you really care about. Alright, I'm out. I just wanted to make it rain real quick. Dude, I appreciate it, Peyton. You just bought me a Hot Wheels car, I think. Which is huge. I've been saving up for one. So, as we go, remember what I said, the mouth doesn't really matter. We are just going to draw a little indication of a mouth there. And guess what? I'll put a little shadow on the bottom lip just to give it a little bit of spice, a little bit of pizzazz. Okay? And now look at that. Remember how little we actually drew, and now we have a face that sort of looks realistic already? Whoa, Kelsey, it looks like I just drew your profile picture. That's crazy. But we drew, like, you can count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, basically. And now we have a face that can be, like, finalized. And we can just continue doing this, so we can go in, and maybe this person has like some pretty solid cheekbones, so I'm just going to lay out this line. I'm just going to buff it out and bump it out a little bit. And even that one, that's a little bit too far away from the eye. So guess what? Since we're drawing super lightly with pencil, we can just erase it. That's the, you know what? If you get frustrated with the drawing and you throw it away instead of just like erasing the line and redoing it, give it up. Give it up, brother. You just gotta finish it. Just erase a little bit, swallow your pride, and redo the line. And then guess what? You're gonna have a way better drawing than 90% of the people on this app. So we're just going to follow that guideline that I set up earlier. And guess what? Oh my god, these cheekbones and jawline are starting to look realistic. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed drawing a human face the right way would get you a human face? So we're just going to darken up some of these lines. And like, look at that. That looks realistic. That bangs. He's mogging. That's what I'm saying, Nubby. Here, I'll give you a close-up shot. Like, look at that. That's normal. That's nice. And all we did, again, we've spent, like, 5 minutes on this? So, another hot tip for you, another hot, sexy, hot tip, like a cigarette after a drunk night out. We are going to throw in a little better eyebrow here. But are you ready for this sweet tip? Ears, guess what? Ears are always in the same exact spot on the human head. It's always from eye to nose, right? Take a look in the mirror. Use your front-facing camera, you idiot. The ears start right about the eye, and then they just drop down right to the nose. That's as big as you'll draw like any ear ever. Unless, let's say this, you're drawing a character with massive ears, then you can break this rule. But if you're drawing real people, guess what? Eyes to nose, baby. And if you break that rule, your drawing's going to look like junk, and you're going to feel bad about yourself. And I'm going to be in your ear saying that you made a big mistake. So, let's just all skip that problem. So there we go. We have sweet cheekbones. We have ears. We have chin. We have whatever else you call it. Thomas, what's up? I'm doing illustrations today, and I'm drawing a face, and it's actually turning out pretty well for the first time ever. So, as we're doing it, well, thanks for the follow. Now, we basically just have this forehead to do, and all the hair. Guess what, everybody? Hair sucks to draw. It's like, it is the worst. I still don't like it. But we can at least do this forehead. So, you remember this whole big oval that we drew in the very beginning? We still get to use it. We still get to understand that that's the whole head. The face and everything important about a head is usually just in the bottom half of the circle. Everything else is big old forehead and big old hair. So, with this character, I'm just going to throw in a line that goes, I don't know, maybe 3/4 up that oval. Like if this is the halfway line, the eyebrows and the eye are the halfway line, like throw a 3/4 line up here and that might be the hairline. Again, we don't know. This is sort of something you have to just like play around with to get right because everyone's hairline is different, everybody looks different, everything is always different. But we're playing and drawing is fun. Usually. Sometimes I want to pull my hair out, but that's fine. Now, once you draw like a rough cut hairline, take a step back from your drawing. Okay? Guess what? Only losers barrel through drawings really, really quickly. Draw a line and then take a step back and look at it. I'm looking at it right now. Looks kind of beast. I'm thinking, hey, that's pretty solid. That works. So, what we can do here is think of, oh God, somebody think of a hairstyle. What kind of hairstyle? Also, who is this character? What are we calling them? What kind of hairstyle should they have? I don't think any of that matters. Let's give them long mohawk, curly mohawk. Let's do both. All right. So if we're doing a mohawk, that means most of this head is going to be shaved except for the middle chunk, right? And if that middle chunk is all curly, this is going to be much, much, much worse. Bull, it's too late. We've already got a curly mohawk going, Thomas. So what we want to do is you remember that same oval that gave us all of the proportions and perspectives for the main head. That is pretty much the back of our skull. So I'm going to throw in a little indication through the middle of the ear, just up and around. And this isn't the final line, this is just to give me some information as I'm drawing this mohawk and as I'm finishing this head, right? So, with those two lines, I'm thinking, okay, is that actually pretty, oh, thanks for the roses. Is that actually pretty accurate, or is the head a little bit too big? I'm not going to know for sure until I get this mohawk down, right? 2 roses, oh my God, Rico. Rico, you're whining and dining me. So, with this, guess what? Mohawk, best way to draw a mohawk, here. Think of square, and then think of perspective lines, right? So think of square, and then perspective lines. Like if this is your head and these are your eyes, this mohawk is one big square and then it's morphed around the head, right? You see that? So for this perspective, if it's a curly mohawk, let's just draw a big curly mess, kind of like a cloud, kind of like a big tower of curls. And we can even do, let's do like one little Superman curl down. Then, if that's the front, guess what? We need to convey that this goes to the back of the head just a little bit. So it's going to have a little bit of backdrop as it goes around the head. So we can also add a little bit of curl there and a little bit of curl there, and then we're going to darken these 2 spots up to make it look like it's going away from us. And then, oh yeah baby, then let's just put in a bunch of scribbles here. Kind of curly hair usually ends up looking like pubes. I'm sorry to tell you guys. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but usually if you're drawing with pencil, just draw a bunch of scribbles that look kind of like pubes and you'll get curly hair pretty quick. That's not to say that people with curly hair are worse than the rest of us, but you know, that's just how it works. Now, this top of the head, these 2 lines, I think they're a little bit too high. So guess what? We're going to fix it. We're just going to go back up, and then we will cut in just a little bit sooner, right? Cut in just a little bit sooner there, and then we can come around here, fix up the hairline, go right into the business. Party in the front, party in the back, party everywhere. That's a mohawk. And then we can just sort of shade in this buzzed area. And there you have it. There's the curly mohawk. I mean, it's a little bit, we could clean it up. That's fine. Can you draw a pufferfish tutorial? Oh yeah, I can do that for you, AJ. Are you doing a tutorial? I am, Tara. I'm just kind of walking through a ton of different little tips that I've learned as I've been drawing for however long. And the fun ones, like the ears being in like the same spot everywhere, the widths, the perspectives, the proportions, all of like the quick tips that I've picked up that help me get drawings looking better, I'm trying to vocalize them every once in a while. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and that's fine, but we're chilling, we're hanging out, we're having a good time. Also, if you're drawing people, well, man, I have curly, wavy hair. I also have wavy hair, don't worry about it, Nubby. What did I do to you? You were born. I'm kidding. Um, Another hot tip, another sweet hot diarrhea tip for everybody. Oh, thanks for the follow. As you're drawing, as you're doing these crazy, Nubby, you know I would never hurt you. As you're drawing people, the neck. If you're doing cartoons, the neck can be like, I'll just show you. The neck can be like crazy skinny and right here, right? But in the real world, if you look at yourself in the mirror, the neck starts at the ears. So when you're drawing a neck for this character, you want to start your pencil strokes about at the ear, and then depending on if they have like a wide neck or a skinny neck, you're going to follow the jawline or you're going to puff out from the jawline. This character has like a fairly skinny neck, so we're just going to throw it down right there. And then the neck immediately goes into shoulders, right? So we're just going to splay out a little bit. But if you want to upgrade your drawing, this is a fun piece of information, everybody. This is where you're actually going to start getting wet. Okay, the neck actually kind of dips into the chest, right? So we can add these lines just a little bit past those shoulders that we just drew. Okay, and then, guess what? You want to get really crazy? Wait, this is kind of coming together. Thank you very much. Is this a tutorial or something? Hot diggity dog. I think you're close. Yeah, it is. And we're getting wet. As you're going through and you add these extra little lines, guess what? Go up to like the middle of the jaw, basically from mouth line down, okay? And then just throw in two little light lines like this, and all of a sudden you have like muscle structure and you have like a very realistic neck, right? Isn't that crazy? So this person just went from like normal to buff in 2 lines, and also way more realistic. And you can do like Adam's apple, you can do whatever, but these 2 lines are going to end up making that little divot, and then that little divot, guess what? Those are your collarbones. Wow, wait a second. Guys, human anatomy actually makes sense. Tap the screen, y'all. Thank you, music is magic. I do agree, music is magic. But, like, that's the thing. And then once you're drawing, once you're finished with all of these little setup lines, go back over these outside lines and just darken them up. And then if you want to darken up the clavicles or the shoulder bones or the collarbones or whatever, you can darken those up. You can darken up some of these. I wouldn't darken up the neck muscle lines too much because they're like detail lines. You want to keep detail lines light and airy and fun and saucy, but all the outside lines can just stick and be dark. Let's add a little bit of fringe and a little bit of texture on top of this buzzed head, just to make people know that we're pretty solid at this whole drawing thing. And that's basically your drawing. Another hot tip. Tara, you are going to love this one. I think you're actually going to start frothing at this one. If you are ever stuck with the mouth, if you've ever drawn a mouth and it's way too wide or it's way too skinny and you just can't figure out like what's a good rule of thumb for getting a sweet mouth drawing, yo, what's up, Bloom? Long time no see. I'm glad to have you back. If you take your eyes that you've successfully drawn, frothing, thank you, Ivan. If you've successfully drawn 2 eyes and it like feels pretty solid, what you can do is draw lines directly down from the pupils, and that is the maximum width your mouth can be. So the middle line of your lips cannot go past these 2 lines, and that sets your mouth up to be extremely realistic, perfectly normal. It then gives you the perfect proportions to draw lips on top and bottom. This one I didn't have to follow that rule exactly because I wanted this character to have a smaller mouth, just for style reasons. But if you need to figure it out, Just use the eyes, and you can get a perfect mouth every single time. Genius. Thank you very much, Thomas. That's what I'm trying to say. Ivan, thanks for the follow. Unrelated, but I think I have that same notebook. You wouldn't if you tried. This thing is like the rarest notebook of all time. I had to import it, okay? It's it's dude, it's from a country you've never even heard about, okay? All right. Well, what should we draw next? We can continue doing faces, but I mean, that's it. That's how you draw a face, buddy. I would draw this person's body, but I don't want to. From HWYA. What? Genius from, I don't get it, Thomas. You're gonna have to spell that out. Cookie? Tara? That is so crazy that you asked for a cookie, because just recently someone else asked for a cookie and I made it an ice cream sandwich. Cookies are very interesting. Draw a water bottle. Alright, Magnus, I like that. I'll do that. The eye mouth rule, I'm gonna try that. You should. It's like, it is actually very, very accurate, and it works every single time. Let's do a water bottle for Magnus. Or Bloom, sorry. So, this is a very fun tip as well. For everybody in chat that doesn't know the same thing that I say every single stream, everything is boxes. Okay? Every single piece of drawing is boxes. So, let's start by drawing a square. And then we're going to turn this square into a box, right? And we're just going to make the simplest box of all time. And this is going to be our water bottle. It's a little bit short and squat. That's fine. It doesn't matter. You can make the box as narrow as possible or as wide as possible. We're going with a wide one. Maybe this is one of those short stacks, right? Okay. Everything is a box. That means this is the water bottle. And if I want a cap on this water bottle, guess what? I'm going to have another box. So let's draw another box on top of this, John. And let's see how far it gets us. Oh my god, wait a second. It already kind of looks like a water bottle. It looks like a perfume bottle, but still, you can sort of start to see it. Now, why the box method works is because it makes you or enforces you to remember that there are multiple sides to this drawing. So, when I come down here and I draw this rounded circle that's going to be the base of this water bottle, as I draw up, I have to remember that this is a 3D object and that I'm going to be able to see little bits of the top as well. So when I'm curving up, instead of this front face stopping at that top line, it's actually going to curve up and around, and it's going to engulf that whole cap that we just drew. So again, I'm just starting with super simple shapes. I'm remembering that this is a 3D object. I'm remembering that everything has a place, and we're slowly marching through this water bottle. And you might be thinking, this is a stupid tutorial, I'm not learning anything. Just watch. You're actually going to learn everything, especially this top. This thing is such a hot tip to understand that you're drawing the top of the water bottle, not just the front face. Oh my god, you guys don't even know how long it took me to learn that. So then we're going to come down here and we can just start adding in fun details. Maybe there is a little indent in this water bottle, so let's throw that in there. Maybe there's a label, so that label can sit right here. So we're just going to start throwing in as much detail as we can just to give us some sort of idea of all of this stuff, right? It sounds dumb, but a water bottle, if you can draw a water bottle, you can pretty much draw anything. So I'm going to draw another circle there. I'm going to start drawing the mouth spout. I'm going to then finish up this top box with, guess what, another circle here for the top of that, because remember, we're always doing 3D objects, and we're starting to see things take shape. Now, the fun part is we have to start finalizing and doing fun detail, okay? Oh, thanks for the follow. That's great. So what we can do is, guess what? Let's start with a cap. I'm going to draw a hard line here. And then I'm just going to float it around, basically making like a upside down U, right? And you might be thinking, oh, that's strange. Why'd you do all of the weird circles and boxes if you were just going to do an upside down U shape? Well, guess what? Now that we have this, we understand that we're drawing both the top side and the front side of the water bottle. I don't need to draw a ton of stuff right here. I just have to draw a little indication that a plane shifts, right? And then we can draw all those little rivets or bumps on the water bottle cap. And this looks way more realistic, at least a little bit more realistic, than if I was to draw a ton of straight-laced bricky lines. Are we seeing this? You understand that? That it actually looks better than usual for her pleasure? Thank you very much, Doodle. I am drawing only dildos for the rest of the night. Minecraft bottle. It is... Oh, we should have drawn a Minecraft bottle. Damn. That's okay. But now that we have this sort of setup, guess what? We can go in and we can draw a parallel line to that. And that's going to give us some better boundaries. We can go back and redo some of these to make it look better and more fun. Guess what? Every water bottle has that little locking mechanism, so we're going to add that little lock as well. We can color that in a little bit differently to set it apart. And then we're just going to continue adding detail as we can, remembering that we are doing everything in our power to make sure all of this looks at least a little bit normal. Make sure they're flared. You're right. Oh God. Okay, we'll add just a little bit of flare. Thank you for that. Okay, and now, basically, we're almost done. How about arms, specifically gestures? Oh, we could throw some arms on this bottle. But with starting at gonna call mom and tell her I learned to draw a bottle even though it's midnight, you should. I think she'll say, wow, holy hell. Some kids just play video games at night. You're learning how to draw, right? So, as we're going, this top line that I drew earlier that I was so proud of and so pop-off-ish about, guess what? I'm going to change it because it's my life. It's not yours. I get to choose what this thing looks like. Arms on the bottle, I kind of like that idea. But let's draw the bottle first and then let's do the fun stuff after. So as this is going, we're going to see not only the nozzle, but a little bit of that backing shape. So I'm going to start this line way back here. And that's going to come down. And remember, this is one of those little choders. This is just like a chody water bottle, so it's nothing crazy. I'm just going to follow it down. And guess what? A lot of objects don't have sharp edges, especially water bottles. So instead of having this cut down right here and then immediately go into that weird like loopy shape that we were taught to draw cups like that, that's not how things look. We're just going to curve that line right into that existing idea that we had. And I'll do it the same on this side. I might even slim this up a little bit to keep it a little bit more symmetrical. It's just going to come down and swoop right in, smooth style, into that. And then, basically, if this was full of water, we could see a little bit of that other side, right? This looks a lot more like a water jug that you would put in a water cooler, but bear with me, we're fine. We're just learning. So as you go, if we want more details, if we want more everything, you can just add it. You can just continually add and subtract and whatever, and say like there's one of those weird texture things on this one, like Dasani bottles. You can add that. This looks a lot like the Pokemon water bottle, and that's fine. That's kind of what I was thinking about when I was drawing this, so it makes sense. But you can just continuously add and subtract and erase and do everything that you want to. But that cap looks great. You don't get to choose? I do get to choose Bloom. But essentially, like, as long as you're thinking about it as a box, and this isn't the best, this isn't like the highest detailed drawing of a water bottle. Like, you could go and you could draw a water bottle that looks a lot more like that, and the same, all those same settings apply. You could draw a water bottle that just looks like this. Like, it just depends on what you're going for. But the main story arc that I'm trying to teach you right here, the main lesson and idea, is that if you start with a box, on any of these shapes, if you start with a big tall rectangle, it cues your brain in to understanding that I have to show that this is a 3D object and that there are going to be top and front and side sides everywhere. And that is sort of like how you level up a very simple drawing like this. Instead of it looking like this, you can have that little extra sauce that is that top plane, right? And then if we were adding arms to this guy, let's throw like 2 circles for shoulders. Let's throw some lines there, down. He has hands, I'm guessing. Right, Thomas? Does this guy have hands? And maybe this guy, this arm, he's doing like a cool guy thumbs up. So we can do that, right? That's our basis. You see how I had... Oh, what's up, Quartz? You're the man at the water bottle? Thank you. Are you Frankensteining him? Yeah, we are. Can you hold electricity? Yeah, it can actually. Do we drink his blood? That's actually a very good idea. I think probably, yes, if this guy has movable arms and you crack his cap, you would be drinking his blood, not water anymore. Perhaps. Thomas, you're going to love this. Okay, so now that we have this very simple water bottle, we've added on these arms. Fun lesson for everybody. Every time you see people do gesture drawings where they just fly through everything and they draw all of these nodes for shoulders, arms, and elbows, it's actually extremely helpful and like the best way to draw people. Excuse me. So that's what I'm doing with a water bottle. You can always use the best art techniques on the stupidest drawings, which makes it more fun. So now that we have all of these setups, I'm going to take a step back. Are these proportions pretty correct? It's a water bottle. Who gives a honk? But they are. It looks fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend these just simple lines into small rectangles. Wait a second, guys. You remember when I said everything is boxes? We're drawing more and more boxes. So now, what these arms are set up, instead of just like circles and lines, now we have a little bit of depth. We have a little bit of weight in all of this. And then all of a sudden, they're sort of starting to look more like arms, just because we turned it into rectangles. Everything is rectangles, everything is boxes. So, once we have that, just like this face, as we were going through, remember I had all those simple shapes, I had all of those simple lines, and then we started cutting away and we started adding and we started plussing up, right? The same thing happens when you're doing arms with these super simple rectangles. I want this shoulder to pop a little bit from this water bottle, so I'm going to erase that line, I'm going to erase that line. And what this is going to do is it's going to come out and around, and I want a little bit of muscle around this, so this shoulder can dip in just slightly. We can follow that line. We have this elbow to make, so let's just make it a point. And then if you think about forearms, they start a little bit wider at the top, like we can draw a little circle here, and then a smaller circle here. And this rectangle that we're drawing is going to be a little bit tapered. So from this elbow, maybe that muscle pops out just a little bit, and then it goes down into the wrist. Same thing on this other side. It's a little bit thicker up here, and then it slowly tapers. And then it's going to go into the hand, which this hand is just normal. I'm just going to draw like sort of a mitten on this guy. But the other hand, like look at that, just a cute little mitten. He's just a man. He is just a guy. And then we can finish this up. We can add in some details for that pit of the elbow. Maybe he has a little bit of muscle on that bicep, so we can just bring that out from that box we drew. And then for the same thing over here, we'll just add in a little bit of definition there. That arm goes out to here. We can add in just that little pointed elbow. And then the same thing, that forearm is going to be a little bit wider in the front and then a little bit skinnier near the hand. And then that crease line is going to be right in between. And then there we go. Holy smokes. This water bottle just got cool. And then we can just do some fingers. Who cares? Just play with them. Sometimes when you're drawing hands and people like this, the simpler you can do it, the better, because then everybody just forgets that it's supposed to look really nice. Draw, oh my god, I can't even say your name. Are you Thai? Draw orca eating a Tully monster? What is a Tully monster? I wish I knew. But essentially, you can do all of these like high-tech, like real drawing tutorial tips on the dumbest drawings, and it's always going to be fun. And if you're going to draw, you might as well make the proportions solid. And if you want the proportions solid, just make everything rectangles, and then change the sizes of each of those rectangles until it looks a little bit more accurate, and then just make an outline. Just make that outline look really nice, and then all of a sudden, bang, you have a pretty solid water bottle with a fist. Are we all in? Are we ripping? Okay, we have been live for 40 minutes. Guess what, everybody? I wish I could draw an orca eating a Tully monster. I don't even know what a Tully monster is, and I can't even talk to you because I can't even read your name. Isn't that awesome? Quartz, thanks for hanging out. Nubby, thanks for hanging out. Bloom, thanks for hanging out. For everyone on TikTok, thanks. This is me. We're hanging. We're playing. We're having a good time. I draw a bunch of stuff. I don't have my other notebooks, but we try and do tutorials as much as possible. Follow along if you want to. Give me a follow, and then we'll be live probably tomorrow, and we'll do whatever you want me to draw. I can do it. Goodbye. Love ya. Sick. Okay. Why'd that 40 go by like nothing? I'm glad. That one actually, that did feel fantastic. That felt great. I don't think I stuttered too much. I don't think I said too much. I probably did. Sometimes when I get in that mode, I kind of black out and I forget about everything. But that 40 did go by like nuts. I was gonna draw. Here, I'll cover up all the naughty bits. I was gonna draw like Roman sculptures today, and like copy just straight from this book and try and learn and teach like human anatomy and all of that stuff. You just said right before that. Oh no. That sucks. Bloom, how are your holidays? How was your break? Before I end, we should catch up a little bit. I made $2 off of TikTok Live. Oh. Damn, that's very Roman. It is. Oh, what's up, Peter? We actually just finished. We just finished all of our tutorial stuff, and now we're just kind of on the cool down, chill out, relax, and all cool mode. But I'm glad to have you in here. We did. Oh yeah, this is sick. That TikTok Live went really well too. I'm glad. My break was okay. I just enjoy a lot of me time, so I chilled basically. Oh, sick. Oh, you're making your own sketchbook? That's awesome. Are you doing the leather piece with the rubber band and like all of the little notebooks inside of that? Quartz, are you still in here? Nubby, are you still in here? I can't even tell anymore. I've also been playing this game called Satisfactory. Oh, I shouldn't put that on screen. Damn, I said again. And it's been fantastic. I love that game. It's just about being like as efficient as possible. So you make machines and you mine ores and everything, and you get conveyor belts everywhere. No, I'm doing a 3 pamphlet stitch with a chipboard cover and some tarp-like material on the outsides. Oh, that's sick. Damn, Bloom. That's really cool. So you're hand stitching it? It's my first time stitching, so I'm taking it very slow and simple. Dude, that's so cool. I've always wanted to get into like leather work, but even that, like all of the stitching, like the 2 needle going through and combining just 2 pieces of hard fabric or like hard material. I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to make a billfold, like a wide billfold that looks kind of like an envelope, and use that as a pencil case. That would be really fun. Yeah, hand stitching. Damn. That's so cool, dude. I've had these materials sitting in my room for months. That I resonate with that a lot. That'd be so sick. It would, and also who has like a cool leather pencil case? I think if you have leftover stuff, you should steal that idea and make like um, a sweet little carrying pencil case. I have so many art supplies in this room that have just gone unused for a year. It's so embarrassing. I just look at it all and get sad. I'm thinking about like throwing away a ton of it, but I did get some sweet paintbrushes. One sec. I've got something crazy in my throat. Pause. I have so many supplies that I need to get rid of, but I got these sweet paintbrushes, so I think I'm going to start doing oil paints now that we've sort of gotten a little bit more used to drawing complex things. Don't throw it away, it'll come in handy. That's what I've been saying, but it's been years, man. I've had this stuff for years. Oh, you saw a sweet marketplace find? I have seen, like, trending, people are taking just big raw pieces of leather and turning it into these immaculate, like, metal clip journals. Which also, come on, be real with yourself. None of you guys are writing or like filling up these massive journals. You're just making them for fun and throwing them in your desk. It looked like a portfolio, but for holding art supplies. Ooh, like a chef's knife kit that rolls. That would be sick. Oh, that's a good idea too. That would be a fun like leather project if you get a really nice thin malleable leather and then you have it rolls up tight with maybe like two pens, one pencil, and an eraser, but then it like sits on or with your notebook. I don't know if I'm describing this well. You have small notebook. Actually, wait, here we go. Small notebook. And then with that, instead of having like a pen next to it, it's just a tight, almost like cigarello looking leather tube that you unclip one, and then it's three or four pens right here that you can just consistently have right on your journal. That could be sick. Bloom, I think you gotta cook. I think now that you're learning stitching, you have pretty much, you could make anything in the world. You're gonna get into crafting bag? Yeah. Dude, I'm saying, all these ideas, they're solid. And it would be so cool. Like, imagine rolling up to anywhere with any of this like handmade one of one stuff. Everybody's gonna look. Damn. Well, sick. I'm excited to see you crush some of these projects. I am, however, going to end and watch TV because I want to. It's been great. I almost said it, but I'm not going to. It's been fantastic catching up with you and chatting. I'm slowly getting better at getting on. This past week has been nuts and a total blitz after the holiday season. But I have this new camera, which I'm sure you've noticed. You can actually see pencil lines now, so that's awesome. And we're getting back on track. Okay, sleep well. Thank you very much. See ya.